All right, taking a look at the markets today, Friday, April 19th. Taking a look here at the QQQ over here on this daily chart. We can see that today we sliced straight to that 100-day moving average. Next place that we're looking for potential support would be this all-time high that we broke out from here that was made back in 2021, the end of 2021, and in November. And I'll actually flip over to a longer-term monthly chart so you can see this a little bit better. So this is kind of the next area of support that I'm looking at here. Doesn't mean we're going to find support there. We could easily slice down and continue to come near this 200-day moving average or this lower Bollinger Band here on this weekly chart. So that's a quick overview of the NASDAQ. Next up, we got the SPY. The SPY is not looking quite as bad as the NASDAQ is. It's just above its 100-day moving average, didn't slice through it, but it's a very similar looking setup. Looks like the NASDAQ here could be headed towards its breakout back in January of 2022 from that high back there, that previous high. So something to keep in mind, just taking a look at that. Going back to the QQQ here, we'll take a look at this RSI reading and these slow stochastics. One of these stochastics on the daily chart is in the oversold territory, but not the slower moving one. And then over here on the RSI, we're currently looking at an RSI of 29. Looking at this right here, this RSI value. So if I come over here and put that on that ticker symbol, we can see that we closed today in the oversold territory as well. So I'm expecting for this market to find support somewhere in this area sometime soon. It does seem like these markets have been pretty sold pretty hard so far. And then taking a look at the S&P 500, looking at the slow stochastic and the RSI, we come over here on this candlestick for the day. We are just above the oversold territory on the RSI, and with the slow stochastic, we have one in oversold territory, but not the other. Next thing we're going to take a look at is the VIX. This is the volatility index for the S&P 500 index options. Once again, we got another kind of pretty big spike in the VIX. A lot of this, I think, had to do with Israel retaliating against Iran overnight. Seems like the strike was kind of a nothing burger. Same thing that Iran sent to Israel, all that stuff got intercepted. Same thing happened when Israel sent some stuff to Iran, got intercepted by their air defense. Not much happened, but it did rattle the markets overnight. There was a quick sell-off, and then once it was kind of determined that it was kind of a nothing burger, the markets came back. So this is something that I am looking at the VIX here and coming out here to a little bit more of a longer time frame. You can see here that this is kind of, the midpoint of the range for where the VIX has been at. We're just a little bit above that at that this 18. It's 1754. Yeah, 1754 is the 11-year average for the VIX. So we're just a little above that. And we'll see, we'll see where the volatility goes from here. Next up, we've got gold. Gold continues to look super bullish. Looking at these Bollinger Bands here on this weekly chart, it's rare that you see something move outside of these bands this many consecutive trading weeks. This is a pretty rare move that we're seeing here. When is the move going to end? Who knows? But just another thing to take a look at. Copper moved up today. Pretty strong move in the copper market. Next up, we've got Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a bit of a rally on the daily chart. We can see that it's kind of bouncing off this lower Bollinger Band right here. Not much direction though. It's looking pretty muddled here with these moving averages. Ethereum also had an update today. Not quite as big as what Bitcoin had, but Ethereum was also up on the day as well. And we're going to take a look at Japan. So this is Japan's kind of ETF for their stock market. It is the Wisdom Tree ETF, and Japan is sitting just above their 50-day moving average right here. So Japan's market is definitely holding up better than our S&P 500 and our NASDAQ currently. Over here, taking a look at India. India also sitting above its 50-day moving average, holding up better than the American markets. We got a rally in the bank stocks today. So, we sold off pretty hard. Both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, kind of tumbled through. the Nasdaq tumbled through its 100-day moving average, and the S&P 500 came just above it. And if you compare that with what the banks did today, we got a pretty good rally here in JP Morgan. Next up, we've got Bank of America. Bank of America also had a nice little rally today while the rest of the market sold off. And now we'll take a look at the earnings for American Express. So American Express, they beat expectations on both top and bottom line. Revenue beat plus earnings beat. Pretty strong beat here too. 8.8% surprise. And clearly, we can see that here. Wall Street came in and they bought the stock up. This is almost at all-time highs right here. All-time high is 231.69, and we're at 231.04. So something to keep your eye on. I do like the credit card stocks, MasterCard, Visa, and American Express. So something to keep your eye on there. Next up, we've got Netflix. Netflix was down 9%, even though they had a pretty big beat on their earnings, but they did announce that they were going to stop reporting subscriber numbers. I think they've kind of reached the saturation point in their total addressable market, and now they're going to be more focused on driving profit and revenue, versus acquiring subscribers. I don't think Wall Street liked that very much, that they weren't going to give those metrics anymore, but it is what it is. We've got Google. Google, one of the hyperscalers, still holding up extremely well. This is one of the biggest tech stocks out there. They are sitting on top of their 20-day moving average. The S&P 500 is well below its 50-day. The Nasdaq is below its 100-day. So you're getting some good strength here out of Google. And same thing with Meta. Meta just below its 50-day moving average, but it's not selling off like the broader market is, and we have not undercut this gap up from its latest earnings release. So this gap up, the low point on that was about 453. We have not undercut that yet. So very, very bullish, but there is a saying, gaps get filled. So if the sell-off continues, this gap could easily get filled. Republic Services Group, the waste management, they had a update, even though it was a red candlestick. It just means that it opened right here, closed lower than where it opened, making the candlestick red. But this was an up day. These where we opened, we gapped up here, and this is an up day for Republic Services Group. Sprouts Farmers Market, super, super strong right now. I mean, just off its all-time high right here of 65.53. We're sitting at 65.15. This thing is looking, quite strong. It's sitting currently above all of its moving averages, 10-day, 20-day. It's got a rising 2-day and a rising 5-day, along with a rising 20 and 10-day moving average. And this rising 50-day moving average is coming up to the stock still. All right, NVIDIA and Supermicro, these are only going to be the last two stocks that I look at. Pretty big sell-off today. NVIDIA was down 10%, but as you can see, still sitting well above this 100-day moving average here, just under the 50. So not selling off quite as much as the broader NASDAQ. And then same thing here with Supermicro. Supermicro, they are down 23% on the day. Really, really big sell-off here. A lot of volume came into the stock. You can see that we did... I'm sure these volume numbers are still coming in for the day, but on the day it did 17 million shares with a 50-day daily average of 10.3 million shares per day. So a lot of selling coming here. I welcome this. I like this. It's good. It's going to be a good opportunity once the market's bottom to be able to get back into this stock and not be buying at the very tippy top peak. And the last thing we'll take a look at here is the semiconductor, the VanEck Semiconductor ETF. This is just kind of an overview of the broader semiconductors. And what we're seeing here is we're sitting just above this 100-day moving average. So we will take a look at here is the earnings calendar coming up. So I got this set for my kind of broad IBD watch list. This is about the kind of the top 20% of growth stocks in the market. As you can see here, the next 2 weeks is when we're going to be when the bulk of the reporting is going to come in is the next 2 weeks here. And then looking ahead to the month of May, you can see here, this is the end of April. Most of our, the meat of our earnings is coming in right here, and then it starts to tail off here towards the end of May, and then we've got some stragglers left here in the month of June. So that's all I got for you. Keep your powder dry in relation to these markets. Just continue to let them free fall. Don't try to catch a falling knife. Instead of catch the falling knife, just pick it up off the floor. Y'all have a good weekend.